Hi, second grade students. Today's story is from Knowledge 9, Lesson 5, The Division of the United States. Before I begin our story, I'm going to go over our vocabulary words. Our first vocabulary word for today's story is the word Confederacy. Repeat after me. Confederacy. A confederacy is the government formed by the states in the South after they withdrew from the United States. Our last vocabulary word is the word elected. Say elected. Elected means chosen by a vote to do something or to serve in a certain position. Our last vocabulary word is the word seceded. Say seceded. Seceded means withdrew or stopped being a member of a particular group. Abraham Lincoln won the presidential election in 1860 to become the 16th president of the United States. Unfortunately, the election only proved how divided the country really was. Lincoln believed that slavery should not be expanded to the new states being formed in the West. Many people in the North agreed with this idea and voted for Lincoln. In the South, many people disliked Lincoln, and in fact, people could not even vote for Lincoln in the United States in the South because his name was not even on their list of candidates. Despite not being on the ballot in 9 states and without the support of a single Southern state, on November 8, 1860, Lincoln was elected or chosen president because there were more people living in the North who voted for him. Many of the Southern states strongly believed that the North and President Lincoln wanted to take away their right to set their own laws and wanted to abolish or end slavery. The conflict between the states was worsening. A couple of months after Lincoln was elected president, something unbelievable happened. Something Lincoln and many others feared and hoped would never happen. Several Southern states seceded or declared they were no longer part of the United States. South Carolina was the first state to secede. The state of Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas soon followed. All 7 states supported slavery, and all believed that the U.S. government, under Lincoln, would force them into doing things they did not want to do, such as abolish slavery. These Southern states intensely believed that they should be in charge of themselves, so they broke away and declared that they were forming their own country. They called their new country the Confederate States of America, or the Confederacy for short. The Confederacy elected its own president, a man named Jefferson Davis. But Lincoln was not going to allow the United States of America to be broken up into 2 separate countries. Lincoln said it was against national law for a state to secede. Therefore, he said he would do everything in his power to unify the country. He hoped that he would be able to do this peacefully, without a war. Nobody wanted a war, including Jefferson Davis, but as the months passed, it became clear that it would be impossible to avoid it. To learn what happened next, it's important to know about an event that took place in the city of Charleston, South Carolina. In April of 1861, just after Lincoln became president, Charleston was a beautiful, charming, and wealthy city in the South. Its residents were proud of their beautiful city and proud of their Southern heritage. Charleston was an important port city. From its harbor, valuable goods such as cotton, sugar, and tobacco, which had been grown and harvested by enslaved Africans on plantations, were carried by ships across the sea to countries in Europe. Important ports like Charleston needed protection, so they built forts along the shore. The largest and most important of these forts was called Fort Sumter. Forts like these, with their large cannons and soldiers, were built to protect the harbor from invasion by pirates and enemy ships in times of war. Although Fort Sumter was in South Carolina, a Confederate state, the fort still belonged to the United States. The Confederates wanted Fort Sumter for themselves. They knew that they could not have a real country of their own as long as U.S. soldiers were guarding the fort and controlling its guns. Fort Sumter also created a problem for President Lincoln. It was a fort located in an area now claimed by the Confederacy. Lincoln now had 3 options. 1. Tell the U.S. soldiers to leave the fort. 2. Send more U.S. soldiers to defend the fort against the Confederates. Or 3. Send supplies such as food to the fort to see if the Confederate soldiers would try to stop them. This was a difficult decision. If President Lincoln chose the first option, having U.S. soldiers leave the fort, he'd be saying that he agreed with South Carolina's decision to secede. If he chose the second option, sending more troops to defend the fort, the Confederacy might accuse him of starting a war. President Lincoln chose the third option, sending new supplies to see if the Confederacy would let the ships through. At the same time, the Confederates raised an army of their own. They surrounded Fort Sumter and tried to convince the soldiers inside to surrender. But the soldiers said that they had orders from President Lincoln to stay put, and that's exactly what those soldiers did. When the Confederacy heard President Lincoln was planning to send more supplies to the fort, the Confederacy opened fire. Early on the morning of April 12, 1861, before the sun had even risen, a woman named Mary Boykin Chestnut sat upright in her bed, as though she had wakened from a bad dream. Then she heard the sound of a sound that had shaken her from her sleep, a distant low boom as described in her diary. Thinking it must be thunder, she put her head back down on the pillow. The room was pitch black, but through the window she could see that the sun was just barely beginning to rise, casting a light blue, slightly yellow light in the eastern sky. Suddenly there was a series of very loud explosions. Boom, boom, boom! These sounds were much closer. Mary Chestnut knew then that those were the sounds of cannons, not thunder. The cannons in the small fort nearest the town were opening fire, and Mrs. Chestnut knew that these were Confederate cannons. Mary walked out to the upstairs porch in time to see the light from the nearby cannons as they fired another volley into the early morning air. Mary was witnessing the bombardment of Fort Sumter. All morning, all afternoon, and all through the night, for 34 straight hours, the Confederate cannons fired on Fort Sumter. The U.S. soldiers in the fort had cannons of their own, and they fired back. The air around Charleston filled with smoke from the explosions of massive guns. As the house rattled from the boom of the guns, Mary Chestnut sat down and wrote in her journal, "Fort Sumter has been on fire." Then, in the early evening of April 13th, all the guns fell silent, and the U.S. soldiers in Fort Sumter finally surrendered. Amazingly, nobody on either side had been killed or seriously injured by the enemy fire. Damaged Fort Sumter now belonged to the Confederacy. More important, it became clear that war could not be avoided. After the battle at Fort Sumter, more southern states joined the Confederacy: Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina, as well as portions of Kentucky and Missouri. In all, there were 13 Confederate states, all from the South. It is important to remember that the states of Kentucky and Missouri did not actually secede from the United States, even though some people from those states decided to fight for the Confederacy. The remaining states, those that had not seceded, were in the North, and they became known as the Union. The Confederacy made a flag to symbolize its new country. The Confederate flag pictured at the bottom left has 7 stars to symbolize the first set of states that seceded from the Union. The flag pictured at the bottom right was 13 stars, symbolized the Confederacy after the Battle of Fort Sumter, when more states decided to join. States in the Union continued to fly the traditional flag of the United States, pictured at the top here, which at the time of the Civil War had 34 stars, 1 for each state, including the Confederate States. With the Battle of Fort Sumter, a new and painful chapter of American history began. Mary Chestnut, for her part, continued to write in her journal, keeping a record of the Civil War through the eyes of a Southerner. By the end of the war, Charleston, where it all began, was very fortunate that it was not burned to the ground like many other cities were in the South.